prepare yourself. There's not many funny things gonna happen. So welcome to Your Morning Jesus. Today it's like a real talk episode, so it's not gonna be very funny. It's just gonna be just serious stuff. Today we're talking about how to overcome and be a great warrior when life gets hard. So I'm going to read through some points here, but first things first, I just want to make a point that it always comes back to worship. At the end of the day, it's always going to come back to worship. It's always going to come back to loving the Father and encountering Him, and it's all about loving Him at the end of the day. So regardless of what advice I give you here, don't take it as self-help, but take it as more beneficial things to love the Father and just get involved with who He is and not who I am or who you are, but ultimately involved in everything that He is. So the first point is between the definition and perspective of what you're defining your day, relationship, marriage, life in whole. What is the definition of it? What defines it? What gives it meaning? You know, what perspective are you seeing life? Because if you're seeing it from an emotional perspective, it's always going to be changing. You're always going to be looking through some form of an emotional lens. But a big thing to do is actually define it only by what Jesus says is truth and only by who Jesus is. When you wake up in the day, don't go, what sort of day it is, oh, it's already bad, because you already write off a day before it's even happened. So you end up encountering this day that you're constantly having negative expectations of just because you've based it within your emotions versus basing it entirely out of who Jesus is, entirely out of truth, and waking up and claiming the day and saying, today is an awesome day. Why? Because Jesus. Because Jesus is awesome. And I don't need anything more than that because Jesus is awesome. And then once you start to base it out of that, things are going to change drastically. It doesn't mean things will get better, but it does mean you'll be able to handle them better because you're not going to be under the weight of those things. You're going to be under who Jesus is and be responding to who He is. Every single thing in your life, regardless of what you feel about it, whether it be your father, your mother, your spouse, some random person on the street, let it be defined by what Jesus says about them, by who Jesus is, and the way you treat people and the way you address things is by what Jesus feels about them, not about what you feel about them. Second point, I'm going to try to wrap this up really quick. Input and output. What's your diet versus activity? I got a whole bunch of notes here, so I'm going to try and lift up my laptop and have a wee look. So excuse me if I go through things too fast, just pause them. And if you want more, just hit me up and I'll talk about them more. Well, so there's diet versus activity, spiritually fat, mentally unfit, thought cancer, emotionally strained muscles. I'll talk about all of those things in different videos, but just as a sort of thing is be aware of your diet both spiritually, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and even physically. All of those things are going to affect what's going on in your life, what's going on inside of your head, what you're consuming media-wise and what you're consuming emotionally, and your thought life is going to completely be dynamic in the way that you approach other things. A great way is to, when you approach a movie, when you approach music, especially with music and movies and TV shows, look at the content that you're watching and going, is this beneficial to who I am? Is this feeding fear and insecurity, or is this feeding good character? Is this inspiring me to grow? Is this part of who I am and really feeding who I am in God? Because that's a big thing, is you can sit there listening to hugely negative music, feeding your own depression, and then wonder why you're so depressed. And it really is, it's not so much that you have a hyper mental disorder or a completely broken spirit. Sometimes it's just that you're emotionally fat, that you've just fed on bad sort of emotions, or you've fed on bad thought life, that you've now fed this emotional cancer that now you can't deal with. I won't go too far into that because it's a whole nother story, but the sort of thing is, be aware of what you're consuming. Be aware of what you're intaking and where you're getting it from, and also realize activity. Because no matter what you're eating and sort of digesting and consuming, you also have to have an output. You know, how are you outputting emotionally? Is there brokenness, or is there emotions that are all weaved quite tight inside your heart that you just need to express? Often we can get depressed or angry about our lives, but really it's not that we're angry at the current state of our lives, but really we're just have an emotion of anger, or we have a sort of unbearable feeling of where we want to express something, we want to express frustration, but we can't, so we start to express it on other things that will accept us to project on. Especially if you're creative, if you have things, you have to find ways to express that. You can't hold that back, and you can't allow that to die, because if you will start to get frustrated, and harder times will get harder. So first thing in understanding hard times is if they are actually hard, or you're just spiritually fat, or if you're just mentally sick. And kind of not mentally sick in the sort of like, you have a disorder, but mentally sick in the sense that you're not healthy. And you're not healthy emotionally. And so by monitoring and taking authority over your diet and taking initiative in what's going on there, and also exercising your emotions, exercising love, patience, kindness, these are all muscles within the heart that you have to exercise. You can't just expect to be patient. You have to go and exercise that in every single thing you do and with everything you're doing with people. This is the most important one. If there's anything you take away from this video, this one, other than the worship, is absolutely massive that you capture, is that it's a journey and it's a process, and that it's totally okay to not be okay. And I know people say that and it's so cheesy, but I give you permission to be upset. Like, if no one's giving you permission right now, I give you permission to be upset. I give you permission to work through things. I give you a chance to just cry. Just cry, let it out. You're allowed to not be okay, and you have to realize that you are constantly going through a process of growth. You're constantly unlearning the things you're not supposed to have learned, also relearning who God is and learning who and how His heart works. Learning who He is and encountering His love and just going on that process. So I've written a note here and I'm going to read it out. Let not the pain of today cloud your vision of eternity, for this life is merely a blink of the eye for the Father. Just to summarize that, is don't beat yourself up about having a problem. Every single time you grow, you will look back and you'll go, wow, I was so arrogant. Reality is, you're going to do that for the rest of your life, and you're always going to be finding issues that you weren't aware of. You're going to be finding things that you need to sort out, and just in general, you'll constantly find places that you need to improve on, and that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing knowing that there is things that you're wrong about. The good thing about being wrong, and the good thing about not knowing everything, is it means you have capacity. It means you're going to grow. It means that you have room to grow, and it means you aren't limited to everything you are right now. If you're right about everything and you know everything, then right now that is the absolute height of who you'll be. There is no more. That is you. Everything in this world that you haven't changed, everything about your life, that's you in a nutshell. You can't get any better than that. You can't progress from that. You are literally everything you'll ever be. And so for me, I relish in being wrong about something. I relish in not knowing something, because it means I can learn something. It means I can grow. It means that this is not the end of me, and this is not the end of everything that I will be. So I extend that out to you, is the sort of thing is like, don't allow yourself to get stuck in a form of feeling like you have to be right about everything, or feeling like you have to have everything in order. Because Jesus doesn't ask you to have everything in order. He just asks that you would come and be yourself. That you come to Him and give your whole heart to Him, and that it wouldn't be a point of trying to succeed or trying to do all the right things, but it'd just be looking at Him and allowing Him to love you. So I extend that out to you, because my throat's kind of getting sore right now, is not from the video. I have had a sore throat. Don't think I'd fatigue after 10 minutes of filming. But allow yourself to be sad sometimes, allow yourself to mourn, allow that emotion to flow out, and allow it to be a process. Don't just hold these ridiculous expectations every single day to be higher and higher and be perfect. Because the reality is, you'll never be perfect, because you'll never be perfect. And if you are, you've become Jesus. And that's a scary, scary reality. Relish in the journey, embrace the journey, embrace the pain, embrace the times of hardness, because these are your times to grow. At the end of the day, you've been gifted with times of growth. And I know at this point in time, a lot of you will be in dark places in life, or really sunken down in a lot of things. But let me tell you, it's a really beautiful time. It's a really beautiful time to grow. It's a really beautiful time to thrive. And in your hardest, darkest times, that's when it's your time to grow. That's not when everything's good, because it's easy to be happy and strong when there's no enemy. It's easy. You don't have any resistance. You don't have any battle. There's nothing to worry about. But it's in the face of resistance, just like going to the gym. If you just lifted cardboard boxes, you're going to build no muscle. But it's in the face of resistance. It's in that pressure. It's in all of that you have growth, that you have opportunities to grow. So take every single moment, and just take this, that every single thing lacking in your life, whether it be love, patience, kindness, security, stability, it's all opportunities to grow. Whether you're poor, you're broken, you're confused, it's all opportunities to grow. And you just have to keep seeing that. And at the end of the day, you'll have to just fight for that. Love Jesus. Love Jesus and give it your all. Give it your all to Him. And then go from there. So yeah, if there's anything you want me to expand on, which I will eventually, but get at me, and if you need prayer or anything, feel free to inbox me or get in contact with me.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
That looks cool. Okay, go.
I know what I'm talking about.
Just talk about how much we haven't fought today and how life is just so great.
How to have better relationships. Fight all the time.
Over stupid things that don't matter.
And make sure you blame her because it's her fault. Always blame the woman. Powerful.
Yeah.
Just up the nose shot hard out.